it's de-risking to have that longevity. I know the copper price is at $4 today, but in a year from now, I think it's going to be pushing through $5 again. That would be based on several third-party reports I've seen from major miners around the world, analysts and so on. So I think our timing and our current capital position is a weapon for us in terms of value preservation, and it gives us a chance to drill those extra holes to make that major discovery.
The Financial Survival Network. Now more than ever. The Financial Survival Network.
And welcome. This is Financial Survival Network. I'm your host, Kerry Lutz. Today, we've got an update for you, sponsor update on Coppernico Metals. CEO Ivan Bebek is with us now. Ivan, there's an old saying on Wall Street that there are many reasons why insiders sell, but there's only one reason why insiders buy. You just had the opportunity to pick up some shares in Coppernico, and obviously it's the latter and not the former.
Yeah, no, it's been a real busy 6 months for us, and we started drilling Sombrero back in middle of the summer, and we started to learn a lot about where this thing could go and what the probability of success could be. To be full disclosure, skarns are very complex. This is a very large, complex system. The scale of it is extremely appealing from an exploration point of view. There's a lot of room for a major discovery here, but the complexity and the time of getting through a lot of those targets it's going to take a minute. We've seen that. The most impressive part that I've seen so far out of the project, besides the 20 meters of 0.5%, and we'll talk about that in our last press release and how important that is going forward for January, it's been the vectoring, the technical team and the way they've been vectoring through each hole. And what we wanted to do was take more of a systematic approach and go around the horseshoe shape of the skarn that surrounds this big intrusion. And we wanted to find out where is the sweetest spot of the system, where should we be? And we have a few outcomes coming out of it, and what they are is, we need to expand our polygon a little bit because we are on the edge of some things that we will get access to in the coming months, but we don't have access to yet. But we're also seeing, a lot of revelations of where to go look for the sweet spot, and that's going to really be the theme of January, is the follow up on the 20 meters of 0.5% and some of these other areas that we're drilling into. The 20 meters of 0.5%, there's a lot of you can drill behind it, underneath it, and along strike, meaning along a trend that goes for quite some area. That targeting will be presented here to the marketplace prior to drilling in January. But we are right now on our 12th hole. It's on a target called Escondida. This was one of my favorite targets of the entire system. And there's limited times when you can buy shares, obviously, of your own company, but I had a window here where I could, and I wanted to buy them before we drilled this Escondida target. And I've got a chance. I bought about 350,000 shares here in the last day or so. And I plan to add more here while I can because our price is really cheap. The opportunity looks amazing from what we've seen. And from a science perspective, it's a matter of time. It's not if, it's when. And then we have some really robust targets, such as the historical drill hole area called Furasso, that's just north of where we're drilling this current hole, that have already demonstrated in 8 holes the widespread mineralization we're looking for that we'll get access to some point towards the middle of next year. So there's a lot of targets that we've learned about. We've learned where we are in the system. We're vectoring very intelligently towards some of the sweet spots that could really give us that kind of market presence that things can go well. Copper has dropped from $5 to $4 a pound. It'd be the equivalent of gold dropped now to $1,900 an ounce and stayed sideways. That is the copper market for copper equities. Personally, I see that as an opportunity. I'm a speculator, a big speculator. I see it from a greed perspective of being really encouraged by the geology. We've got some really big future plans that go with Sombrero and beyond it. And we think our timing is perfect with the copper market. And I want to own more. And I believe in the team and I believe in the project. As far as the next few steps here, we're finishing hole 12. We'll finish it here in the next week before the break here. And we will resume drilling in the first week of January. And that's where we'll drill the next 4 or 5 holes that will be a production or a result of all the exploration we've done to date in the main areas that we're working on. But it's been a tough year with the copper price, and the sentiment shifted. The stocks kind of followed that. But from the drill bit, there's a lot of holes pending, a lot of holes going in the lab. The predictability is not there until you get assays because the erratic nature of skarns. You know, in the hole we drilled 20 meters of 0.5%, we thought that was dead rock and it ran. And the other part of it, which didn't run that well, we thought it would run much better. I'm fine with that. I'm encouraged by the level of understanding from the team, and that big look is in my view, it's getting stronger. And we now know a lot more of where to go next here in the first quarter with the drill bit.
All right. And I also noticed that you applied to expand your drill permits to 200 holes. So obviously there's some plans there.
Yeah. So we're starting to learn where and how much and how big the scale of these targets can be based on where we're seeing some really good indications. And that's a very, very bullish statement by us to take on that approach to get those extra pads so we can drill 200 holes. We want to be able to accelerate our exploration with drilling, accelerate the answer to a discovery in the event that the discovery starts being made. And that will certainly put us in that position. So we did that because we see the system as being very robust. There's a lot of mineralization. There's a lot going on. The only caveat has been it's a bit complex, and we're getting through that at a very, very good pace. So we are in a position to advance the drilling and perform in the event that this discovery starts to take place. And skarns they are drill intensive. That's well known for anyone who's seen or followed or explored for a skarn system. And we just want to be ready because time is money, and we're watching our cost, and we want to make sure we can accelerate when it's time to do it. And that would be sometime in the middle of next year that we have those permits. Second point being our current capital position we have about 18 months of working capital left. Current treasury takes us into May 2026. This is a phenomenal position to be in, especially at $4 copper when copper equities are much softer and availability of capital for copper is at a very deep discount to where people would like to get it in the marketplace. And so we're going to continue to be very disciplined with the spending. We're going to be very efficient with what we do. And we're going to be very mindful at the pace we spend that because we can increase or slow that down at any time based on the market conditions. I think the biggest thing with a big system like Sombrero is you need capital. We're certainly very well capitalized to drill enough holes to get that big answer before we need to go back to market for money. The second part about it is it's de-risking to have that longevity. You know, I know the copper price is at $4 today, but in a year from now, I think it's going to be pushing through $5 again. That would be based on several third-party reports I've seen from major miners around the world, analysts, and so on. So I think our timing and our current capital position is a weapon for us in terms of value preservation. And it gives us a chance to drill those extra holes to make that major discovery. So everything's going a lot better than the share price would be indicative of, and just how it's performing. In those times, I'm in a position to, and I'm able to, I take advantage of that and I buy more. And that's exactly what I'm doing here as we speak on this interview today.
Well, clearly, supply of production of copper is at a deficit. It's been running that for a while, and there's nothing out there. No major new mines that are going to change that situation. You know, Sombrero from the get-go has always had a lot of institutional interest. Can you give us an idea of what it is now?
Yeah, so you know, from that, our institutional shareholder base has increased a lot with their current funding, and obviously Teck bought in for 9.9%. We've signed several CAs when Teck was buying in, and there's a lot more looking to get familiar with the project because of early indications from a science perspective are extremely positive of how things are going. And the feedback everyone's saying is just keep drilling, and it's a skarn, and we see that. We're not in a rush to expand our corporate shareholder base at this time. We're more of in a rush to see what the next few holes can do for us in the exploration point. I think the most impactful holes we're going to drill so far will be the next 4 holes based on all of the data we've collected and where we've moved around the system coming into January. So an extremely encouraging time. Any hole we drill could be that first revealing major discovery hole. And that's something I really want people to take away from this interview. It's a skarn. You can drill 10 meters beside the major system and miss it. and you'd have to go back and drill further to find it. So there's a very large level of unpredictability of when that system could be drilled. Our current drilling to date has not taken away anything from the potential scale and opportunity. And the real thing that's going on right now is we're expanding our polygons so we can drill more areas that we see to be either outcropping obviously robust areas that would be very high success rates based on historical drilling or outcrop. And the other part about it is where we've drilled around the horseshoe, the polygon, we've pushed up right against it and we've seen things increasingly getting better outside of our permitted areas. So we're expanding our permits, we're getting the ability to drill more holes, and we have some really robust targets that have come out of what we've drilled so far to date. But the vectoring has gone at a very, very good pace, and a little bit more patience is needed, no question. I have no issue being patient when you have 18 months of working capital and plenty of drilling capital as part of that budget remaining. So again, our timing is surreal. We're at the end of tax loss, $4 copper. I think this is a very opportunistic time, which is why I decided to start buying more. And I most certainly believe in the potential geology of the project.
And since we last spoke, you got your OTCQB listing under CPPMF. So it'll make it easier for us people in the south here, south of Canada, in the U.S. to purchase shares.
And that was long overdue. We did our best to get it as fast as we could. Unfortunately, we're at the mercy of the exchange, but we're happy to now have a U.S. symbol that's much more easily readable access to people to trade. On the back of how things go forward, if our success starts to find us here in the first quarter and we start to create the share price performance we're all desiring to see out of this project and the discovery starts to happen, we will look to upgrade that further to the NYSE Amex, eventually once we qualify for that. But as we sit right now, we're slowly getting more tradability into more markets. I have a very busy first quarter. I'll be attending BRIC conference in Zurich, as well as the PDAC will be presenting there at the Core Shack, some of the early core that we've drilled at this project. But as far as opportunity and potential upside, this is one of the few things out there right now that could be quite substantial as far as the discovery is concerned. And we're looking to expand. We're looking to expand our footprint in high-grade, high-quality exploration projects like this before the copper market really takes form. So expect a lot of news out of us in the first half of next year that will really set the tone for us going into the copper potential price movements anticipated on the second half of next year, as we plan to try to be as extremely active as we can, both corporately and as well as on the road marketing the company and what we're going to see coming out of these several pending drill holes that we have coming out of the lab here in the next few weeks into January.
Well, I'm excited as a shareholder. And as far as a drill program for 2025, I assume that's taking shape now, and a lot of it's going to depend on the results of, I guess we're looking at holes 6 through 12 we're waiting for results on.
Yeah, we're currently drilling 12. We'll be waiting on 6 through 12 to come back by the end of January. And then we have 30 holes funded in our 18 months of working capital remaining. And the next 4 holes that we drill from 12 to 13, 14, 15, 16, these will be some of the most paramount holes in the project based on what we have access to and what we've seen so far, and what will really test some key thesis points. And then, the rest of it's being designed in the moment. We're not going to drill past our knowledge, and we're going to wait to see how the project and how the market's performing, so that our treasury stays strong in difficult copper equity markets, which we currently see here in the last quarter of this year. But we're just going to be mindful. I would expect to be much more formal with our plans in January, February of the extent of the program beyond the next 4 holes that we drill. They will all determine how aggressive we are with the drill bit, as well as the market conditions, so we don't put ourselves into any kind of a financial pressuring kind of scenario. So expect a very disciplined approach financially. We're going to be very measured and careful with our spending, but we are super encouraged with the pace of vectoring or the pace of knowledge that we're getting from the holes we have drilled, at least from a visual perspective. We see a lot of the system starting to make sense for us, and we're getting some really, really great targets coming out of it. So it's really, really exciting, and I can't wait to get drilling back in the first quarter, and can't wait to see how hole 12 goes just south of our Fierasto historical holes on the same structure projecting south into the same rock unit, the Mara Formation that hosts the mineralization at Curaçao. So a lot of potential. The big one could be in any hole, and we're going to keep going and see how she goes.
All right, that is exciting. So everyone should go over to CopernicoMetals.com, sign up for notifications. Again, the ticker symbols, US CPPMF. In Canada, it's COPR. We'll be following up with you as soon as those drill results come out. And happy and healthy New Year to you and yours, Ivan.
The best of the holidays to everybody. Celebrate them, and yourself, Carrie. Stay safe, and looking forward to a lot of news. And this is an extremely exciting project at an extremely time, and can't wait to see the next results.
The Financial Survival Network.